Our next U.S. guest is Ambassador Del Daly, who was the U.S. Department of State's coordinator for counterterrorism until January 2009, and as such was principal advisor to the Secretary of State on international counterterrorism matters. So a leading expert to comment on what we've just been talking about. Thank you, Ambassador Daly.
It's a distinct pleasure being here today in Brussels, engaged in a dialogue with such prominent public leaders on such an important international, regional, and also distinctly United States of America issue. I've had the pleasure to work recently with General Jim Jones when he was a special envoy to the Middle East, with Attorney General McCalsey when he was covering the United States-European Union Justice Dialogue, and Ambassador Richardson in Colombia. I look forward enthusiastically to working with our remaining distinguished visitors. A distinct pleasure to be here today. The Committee of Support to the Human Rights in Iran, a special thank you. The committee performs an invaluable function by keeping international and regional attention on the challenges in Camp Ashraf. Such attention, from my perspective, covers two vitally important areas for the residents of the camp. It first continues to highlight the awful humanitarian conditions that exist there, and it continues to focus on the importance of revoking the designation as a foreign terrorist organization for the PMOI. The timing of this conference is flawless. Right now, the United States Department of State, in its continuing process, is considering efforts whether to retain the PMOI designation for the foreign terrorist organization list. It is critically important to ensure all relevant information from this conference gets to the U.S. government during these important, critical, deciding moments. And yes, the conditions, quote, have changed significantly at Ashraf and the Middle East to clearly justify the revocation. Our presence here today is also foreboding because of time. Time is of the essence. Like Ambassador Bolton said, the Iranian machine is continuing to develop nuclear weapons. Time is also important, as evidenced by our 3,400 residents, men, women, located in Camp Ashraf, and their future vulnerability. This vulnerability is a function of the United States and coalition members progressing in the normalization of relations with the new post-Saddam Hussein nation of Iraq. But the increased sovereignty of Iraq at the expense of members of Camp Ashraf should not occur. The regional actors, United States, European Union, and the UN, need to maintain pressure on the government of Iraq to treat Camp Ashraf members with dignity, care, restraint, and respect. My first concern is humanitarian conditions in Ashraf. They are becoming abhorrent and must be improved. The repeated incursions by the Iraqi police have occurred on numerous dates. Some are July 2009, October 2010, November 2010, and recently January 2011. All resulting in injuries. What is even more unacceptable are the restraints placed on the occupants of Camp Ashraf for obtaining medical care. For example, limiting specialist doctor care and being denied hospital access in selected cases. Couple that with the continuous blasting of propaganda into the camp from over 180 loudspeakers to create conditions that are physically unlivable. These humanitarian attacks need to be stopped and not repeated. Camp Ashraf should not be the prize that Iran wins. Iran has shown its hatred for the camp and its residents. So recently as the hanging of the visitor to Ashraf and the photographer of the elections, of the debacle of the elections. They were hung just 2 days ago in Iran. This persists. For Iraq and the United States, members of Ashraf and the PMOI are the best counterbalance to Iranian aggression. As a global terrorist state, Iran supporting terror in Afghanistan, all of the Middle East, and now rapidly becoming a nuclear threat and power, Iran must be met and stopped. And the PMOI has the contacts, insight, cultural awareness, and a proven past record of providing the United States and hence the world previously unknown intelligence about Iran. PMOI is a powerful counterbalance to Iran, as already been shown. Its success in stopping the opposition is an important asset and target of Iran government. So much so it continues to hunt ruthlessly inside Iran and possibly Iraq. Iran stands with impudence and defiance to the world, while making its nuclear capability match its deliverable capability. My second point is a revocation of the PMOI from the U.S. Foreign Terrorist Organization FTO list. Our allies, both from the European Union and the United Kingdom, have removed the PMOI from their comparable list. The United States should do the same. And has entered into a grievous miscarriage for the use of the Foreign Terrorist Organizational list. It brings great discredit upon the United States for our most important resources, our people and our friends. And it gives protection to the foreign leadership that has been sworn to kill us. It is appropriate for the Secretary of State to fix this gross embarrassment and obviously painful error as soon as possible. In addition to the European Union and the UK removing the PMI from their list, numerous U.S. congressmen and senators have expressed their support for the revocation. 113 signed House Resolution 1431 for such removal. The chairman of the House Subcommittee on Terrorism has encouraged their removal. With the new Congress seated and ready to fix problems, this also should be fixed immediately and cooperatively through our legislature and our executive action. Finally, and most importantly, the conditions in which the list, quote, have changed significantly do warrant revocation. Iran has a fear of the PMOI due to its popularity. They have a fear of the PMOI due to its encouragement of free elections and rule of law. Iran has a fear of the PMOI due to freedom of religion and no nuclear weapons or weapons of mass destruction. Iran has a fear of the PMOI due to freedom of speech and press. Right now, Iran fears the PMOI. Is Iran a possible Tunisia with the PMOI rising to power through a democratic change in Iran? Let us hope so. In closing, it is with great irony and embarrassment and internationally confusing that the United States and Iran are of equal mind and on the same team as keeping the PMI on the Foreign Terrorist Organization. We must revoke them from the terrorist designation list. Thank you.